Welcome back, Siraj. How's it going, brother?
You know how it's going. Sports are done. The world's burning. It is what it is. Just another Tuesday to record.
Yeah, it's a crazy world, man. I'm looking forward to talking a little more UFC with you. And we had a great weekend on UFC Fight Island. We went 3-0 on posted plays. We personally went 8-1-1. You know, our only draw there came from a robbery of our boy Charles Jourdain. So overall, it was a pretty successful weekend. How'd you feel about it?
Canadian boy. I'm not gonna lie. We had the most laid on him, but unfortunately for him, fortunately for us, we had a lot going for that card, and I think we did a wonderful job of hedging the bets and making sure that we laid our best plays. I mean, our biggest plays of the night were our girl Look Boomy.
Oh yeah, look behind me came through clutch.
She was phenomenal. Let's not beat around the bush with that. She was actually really good. So I look forward to seeing what she brings to the table moving forward as well.
Yeah, honestly, I was not expecting it. When you see her walk in from the ring, it's like, I don't know. The other girl was looking a lot more menacing, but this was domination. The tactical nature of this was a beautiful thing.
From a Dragon Ball Z fan perspective, I mean, she went from looking like a Krillin to an absolute Goku, and it was lovely to see.
Even our boy Nasruddin, man, that was an impressive showing, and it was interesting to see how that literally unfolded the way we thought it was. Get out of that first round, and your endurance will take you to the final, and that's exactly what happened. He just had to withstand the fury that Jourdain was bringing first round, and he did. And second and third round, Jourdain was way too tired and just playing defense the whole time.
And I will say, the one thing I will give Williams credit for is that he did look a little bit more energized than I thought he would in that third round. I thought I would be a little less scared about him maybe landing that lucky shot. But like you said, our boy Nasruddin, it was very much in that fight. He was the smarter fighter. There's no other way to put it. He was a smarter fighter, and he took the decision when he knew he could. It's just that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I'm looking forward to previewing this next card with you. We got another one upcoming this Saturday, October 10th. And, let's just jump right into it. We got Bruno and Tagir kicking us off.
Well, first things first. One thing you're going to love about Tagir, that's a Khabib boy, Dagestani boy. Loves the grappling, loves to take you down. In his last fight, I did see that he had a little bit of a push kick. He likes to use those distance strikes to maybe get a feel for his opponent. Get a really quick snap jab. I like those things in the first round, but again, I don't know if he's a Khabib level fighter, right? We're going to say that by the looks of it, he was very much setting up for the takedown. He landed it, and by that point, it was game over. So from a style perspective, very similar. From a skill perspective, let's not go there. But, I mean, I do like what I see on tape for him, especially in this fight against Bruno, who very much is coming in as a striker. This is a kickboxing fighter by trade. He showed all-around ability against David Dvorak. I did like that, but his ground game's a work in progress, and frankly, I don't see it being where he should be the weakest in a fight like this. This is just not a good fight for him at all, in my opinion. So if I was hoping for anything, it'd be show me our boy Tagir under 200, minus 200. Like, please give me that as a gift, because right now that would be beautiful.
So unfortunately, that's not going to be the case here. He is a minus 350 favorite.
Okay.
Some places I've actually even seen minus 400. So, he is definitely a favorite, but even based on what you were saying here, it's like he's going to win this game likely on the ground, right? And his history shows that. I think you were even telling me that 8 out of his last 10 wins have been by submission, right?
Exactly.
So stay tuned for our picks. We're going to probably look into what the finish is for Tagir. It's not actually out yet, but keep an eye out for that, because it does sound like that's something that we're going to be looking at.
And let's quickly say, we saw a lot of line movement last week. Based on the lines we talked about with you guys, the lines that we saw going into the fight, I mean, we caught Luke Boomy at an underdog. When we were recorded. Yeah. Well, the thing is that when that line finished, she was a minus 139. When that fight started, Luke Boomy was a minus 139. So those little things for us are going to be huge too, right? Even me with my hopeful comment of a minus 200, we all know that it was going to be about a minus 300 somewhere in there. But let's pray for maybe some movement the other way. Fact of the matter, we might have to lay this ASAP if we're going to, because it's probably going to go the other way.
The other way, yeah. I would agree. And so next up, we got, I know another one of your bread and butters here, a beauty ladies fight here.
Yeah.
We got Tracy Cortez versus Stephanie Egger. And I'm not going to lie, Tracy Cortez is looking a little cute here too, man.
And on this one, you know what? We're not going to call Neve and the Catfish crew. We're going to give you some credit here. I think Tracy Cortez is a cute girl. And you know what? She's feisty too. I love the groundwork. I love the energy in the third round especially. This is where especially girls kind of get a little sloppy. So if she was to be a little bit more technical on the ground, she might be able to sneak something in. She's held gold. She knows what she's doing in there. And looking at Stephanie Egger, like that's a different ball game. Okay, we're talking about more of like a journeyman, more of someone who is maybe taking the fights for a here and there perspective. I think she's very much a grappler, even by trade. Like she likes to go to the grappling tournaments, stuff like that. But she's tried the MMA game, not very successful. She recently fought, which is what I think got her in the UFC in the first place. Nothing too impressive, I will say. From what I've seen from Cortez, I can't see this being a close fight to the odds makers. And if it is, I'm going to tell you right now, Cortez is the bet.
It sounds like, playing into youth here is definitely the advantage. It sounds like there's going to be a decent amount of grappling and, kind of making it through the 3 rounds is going to be very important. So, going with the younger girl here seems like the play. In terms of odds, like you said, spot on, right? She is a pretty big favorite, about minus 250, minus 260.
I'm still taking that as a parlay bet without question.
Yes, exactly.
What I want you to do, though, is so one of the people that Stephanie Egger's actually fought is a girl by the name of Gabby Garcia. And I know you're a bit of a wrestling fan, right?
Absolutely.
Remember our girl China?
Of course.
Okay, so I would love to formally introduce you to the MMA version of China. Please, as we did last week, refer to your computer and just do a quick Google search of a lady by the name of Gabrielle Garcia.
Okay. Yep.
All right, check those pics out. Make sure you type MMA or BJJ with that.
Oh, yes, because there is a Colombian novelist also who goes by the name of Gabrielle Garcia.
And I mean, if she can grapple and is probably taller than both of us, I mean, that's her.
No, this is definitely a 60-year-old man.
Okay.
Whoa, this girl is jacked.
Jacked. I don't think... She is friends with Chris Cyborg. I'm sure you know who Chris Cyborg is. You've heard of him.
Yeah, but oh my God.
Yeah, so she's more of an exhibitionist, if you will. I mean, I think a lot of her fights are very much in the areas where, testing isn't the most important thing. Yes. And these two definitely did some battle. And to be honest with you, I just don't think Egger is a MMA competition level for Cortez. I think Cortez wipes the floor with her.
All right. That's great to know. Great little preview there. The next one we got upcoming is what I thought, were 2 Muslims fighting, Giga and Omar.
Well, okay, so Giga's actually a Georgian fighter. He's a very decorated kickboxer. Not so much of a great ground game yet, but, UFC with 2 close split decisions has shown some of that grappling skill, but I think it's definitely improving. We have to say, striking bread and butter, right? This is the kind of guy that's going to try to hit you with some kicks, good body kicks, a lot of heavy punches coming at you. What I like from Omar is that, the cardio looks really good in the Gabriel Benitez fight. Now, from a technique perspective, from that kind of thing, I give the edge to Giga. I'm not just saying his name because I like saying his name, but Giga is a great fighter, and I'm hoping Giga can hold that end of the bargain, because that's what's going to make this an incredible fight. Like, this is one of those ones where it's an underrated potential fight of the night. Just a lot of blood, a lot of striking. I just don't see this going to the ground. But if I'm Omar Moraes, I am definitely taking this fight to the ground. If I have any confidence in that, I really think that's the way to go. You just have to kind of go against a striker of that caliber and take your chances if you're any much of a confident fighter when it comes to your BJJ.
It makes sense, and kind of playing into that tactic and trying to slow down the guy who's just, swinging at you. And so in terms of odds and stuff like that, what are you kind of hoping for here?
Well, I like you guys as the favorite here, because the big thing about Omar right now is that he's actually moving down to featherweight to fight him. So right now we're seeing, a size aspect to it. I just think from skills, standing, things like that, if you want to get too confident in yourself, you're going to try and stand. And I think the odds makers are going to see that a lot. And so I want to say Giga's a minus 250, minus 300 favorite.
So Giga's actually the underdog, my friend.
Okay, that's good news.
Yeah, so, you know, that's definitely going to be some value that we find. But, yeah, Omar is about a minus 165 favorite. That seems to be pretty consistent across the board on all sites. So, you know, stay tuned because it does look like, you know, we're seeing some good value on Giga here.
100%, because even in terms of just taking into consideration quickly the Vegas outlook on this, they probably think Moraes is going to take this to the ground for sure. Because from a striking perspective, I think there's a good battle here.
Yeah, but the advantage for Omar definitely comes on the ground.
Because I just think he could have spent most of his career, youth, prime as a stand-up fighter. When it comes to the MMA game at this point, like, you can't forego that much of your grappling because it becomes such an important play, especially
which we see week by week now, you know, like the ground game, you know, slowing your opponent down, putting your heavy body into them, all that is becoming more and more important every week. So
funny you say that. That's actually going to come up in one of our next fights. You know.
All right. Well,
I like that.
Let's cue that one up then.
You said that very well, my
friend. KZ and Tony Kelly. These are two scary looking dudes, man. I must say, two scary looking dudes.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is, with these guys, they're going to throw. They're going to throw a lot.
Okay.
One thing I'm going to say is Ali might not have the same power aspect. And what I saw from Tony, I mean, I would love for you to just take a look at that Ty come up in the third fight. I mean, they're throwing. This man threw, I think, in about a 3-round fight, he hit that 250 mark in strikes. He was throwing. Third round, loves the clinch game, throws that like crazy, loves that really close fighting, you know? And so if I'm Ali Al-Kazi, I mean, one, very good grappler. If I'm seeing what this guy can do on the feet in any of his tape, I'm probably taking him to the ground. And I'm going to try to grind that out, at least in the beginning, to try and soften him up, to be able to slow him down. Because if there's one thing I don't want is one of these guys that are rock'em sock'em style that can't get knocked out by me, who definitely doesn't have that consistent knockout power. I can land punches. I'm a kung fu fighter, you know? Ali KZ is very much a grappler from a kung fu background. So he's got the defensive strikes. Everybody, yeah, so he's going to implement that. Defensive striking, a little bit more counter strikes, but this guy's going to push forward.
So let me ask you a quick question. You know, based on your strategy here, you're saying, you know, the dude from Split should, you know, aim to go on the ground here. And the question I have for you is that it looks like Tony Kelly is moving down in weight class to take this fight, right?
Correct.
Do you think that will come into play at all? Is this guy is, you know, clearly a little heavier?
Speed. So speed is the big thing you want to look at for that, right? Because at the end of the day, if he's able to implement a fairly quick type of strategy, get him to the ground, maybe climb up a little, get his back, be a little bit of that like stick to him like glue type of mentality, you know?
Very much tire him out,
Yeah, that's where you might be able to get some you know, things going in your favor. Because the big problem I would say is if you try to distance fight with this man, that's not going to work out well for you, because his strategy is to distance fight you and come right in. And you might be quick enough to get out of the way, but you're going to lose the fight if you keep trying to do that. So this is not a guy that you're going to stand there and keep trading with for 3 rounds, because I guarantee you, when it comes to that, I'm tired, he's tired, but let's keep throwing, you're not going to win.
The dude has too much power. So in terms of odds, what are you kind of hoping for here?
To be honest, from what I saw, if I really liked Ali KZ's grappling, he didn't take it to the ground much against Irwin Rivera. Our boy, you know Irwin Rivera.
I know, yeah.
That's our boy. He's one of the most, if there was any kid that was making me excited about prelims, it's him. Anytime I see him fight, I get a little giddy. But
and we take him every time.
Yeah, back to the topic. I would say he gets a little too confident in the striking. That's the problem with a lot of these grapplers, right? I start to learn some strikes. I start to be able to knock people out once in a while. All of a sudden, everybody wants that bonus. Everybody wants that.
Yeah.
It gets you the fame. It gets you all this stuff. But again, win fights, guys. Win fights. Win fights long term. It's still going to get you.
Be tactical. Listen to your coaches.
100%. And so I think in this case, you know, Kelly stand-up battle. If they see it going that way, I mean, Kelly could be a favorite, but I just don't see it. I think they might go with Ali KZ being the smarter fighter. So let's say it's a close enough fight where he's between a minus 170 and a plus 110.
So Kelly is actually a pretty large favorite in this one.
Okay.
So it does seem
right.
like they believe this is going to be a stand-up fight. He's a minus 210 right now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So kind of keep an eye out on our picks for LIKZ. It looks like we're kind of leaning that way. It's all going to depend on strategy of the fight. But if this is one that does go to the ground, we do see the advantage to Mr. KZ. So.
Yeah, and I think we might even have to do a bit of background on Kelly's ground game here, because to be honest, if that's what we're seeing on Vegas betting, that tells me that I'm underestimating him in some way, because that's too much of a push for that. I don't think that from what I saw that the game was that separate. So if I'm seeing a -1, -210 there, that means that there's a bit more work to do on Kelly's ground game and his ability to kind of dance versatility-wise in the third round.
Absolutely. All right, so the next one we got up, I'm very excited about. We got a dude named Impa versus Joaquin Buckley. It looks like these guys just throw.
Yes, my man. Okay, so Impa Kasanganay is going to be the kind of guy.
That's how you say it. All right.
I'm certain of it. I've seen him fight enough. I think that's the way. We're all going with it until he corrects us, just like Israel did. So for now, I like the defensive striking. He's going to wait for him to push. He's going to try and nail him with those quick strikes, maybe some leg kicks, stuff like that. Now, the thing about Joaquin Buckley is he actually enjoys pushing forward. He's probably like the second coming of Mike Tyson. Just kidding. I'm sorry.
Whoa. Hot take.
Yeah, I couldn't even go too much further with that point, but he likes to fight like him. Let's not beat around that bush at all.
Yeah.
He will push forward. He will look for these big shots. He's a big, top-heavy fighter. He's a British guy. A lot of these guys do like to just throw bows. They're boxers by style, And so for me, I just don't know how that's going to really stack up with a guy like Impa, who's a defensive striker, who might be able to be a bit more versatile. This is a tough one to call. But if I'm looking at something, maybe an under, things like that.
So that was going to be my next question to you is, given his tactical style of play and kind of how you can approach it, do you believe this is one where he will go for the knockout, or kind of one where, it's like, let me take as minimal damage as I can, tire him out, and kind of expose him in the third round?
Well, yeah, because the best thing for our boy Joaquin in this fight is that if you remember, he fought Kevin Holland. He's the taller guy. He has those really good interviews, if you remember him. That was the tough fight for him, right? Taller fighter, lengthier fighter, likes to throw quick punches, even has a bit of power behind that. And so he got knocked down twice. The second time it was over. That's not going to be a huge problem for him here. Size-wise, they should stack up a bit more. So he might have that ability to leap forward and throw some big punches, getting close a bit more. I think with Impa, you want to get the body a bit. Just take away the power aspect of his defensive striking, because at the end of the day, if a defensive striker doesn't have power, he's basically point fighting for the rest of the fight. Now, unless you're a very accurate and quantity level defensive striker, which is kind of rare, because you're very much waiting for your opponent to come to you, it's going to be difficult. So if I'm Buckley, that's what I want to do, right? I want to time out a little bit. I want to see if I can even rest up a little bit, because my power is so good that maybe even in the second round, I've taken enough of that body away. I've slowed him down a little bit. Now I can maybe try to leap forward and do a bit of craziness. So let's even see if they give him some juice. But I'm going to say Impa's got to be a favorite of at least -250.
Yeah, you nailed it at -255. Got it right on the nose. So yeah, I think let's see how this kind of develops, and if we have any value on, like you're saying, even the under, right?
100%. I think if there was a bet for us to take, for me to be able to snipe that line tells me that Impa might even be the play there, right? Like that in itself, for someone to be able to say that that's the favorite and for it to be that line, that's a pretty good indication of something. But again, the under,
even given the way that you describe his tactics and stuff, like I that's a good safe play in my opinion, right?
And so
it's not somebody going to put himself in harm's danger and stuff like that. So.
You said it perfectly, right? That's the guy that we want to see if, on Joaquin's side, can he make that happen in the first round? That's the only way that's going to happen. And if he doesn't get that happen, then that's where you're seeing that +200 and higher type of underdog.
Perfect. So let's move on. It looks like we got another nice heavyweight bout here between Rodrigo and Chris Dacus.
Dacus? I'm going to go with Chris Dacus.
All right.
So our boy Chris Dacus is actually a police officer, so part-time police officer.
Ooh.
I'm going to say full-time police officer, part-time MMA fighter.
We're not going to call him mall cop.
Yeah, we won't call him mall cop. And based on his previous showing, here's the thing. This is my huge take on his fight against Porter in the last fight. He really didn't have to do too much. I mean, by the looks of it, he was able to get. He was the much faster fighter. He was the much more technical fighter. I don't want to be mean, but it's almost like if there was a time for you to like pull up a picture, like pull up a picture of Parker Porter. Okay. Quickly do that for me. Nothing mean. Just pull up a picture of Parker Porter. MMA would be your Google search there. It's just, I hate to say it, but if there was like an era of MMA fighting, like this guy's definitely at the tail end, and he might be like 2 eras too late. Yeah. So with that said, I just kind of really appreciate what I saw from Chris Daukaus, but Rodrigo's a different beast. Let's get into Rodrigo a little bit. So we saw him on Dana White's Contender Series. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
He fought your boy.
A few weeks back, right?
Yeah, he fought your boy, Michael Martinick. Obviously, you know him.
Oh, the hockey player.
Yep, actually a hockey player. Not like a joke hockey player. Like you probably thought there's so many Martinicks all over the NHL.
100%.
Yeah, but this guy was actually a hockey player. So,
I
think everyone in that country that just is born with the name Martinick, maybe they said, hockey player. No, I'm just kidding. He finished him in the first round via armbar. I like the idea that he's from a good camp. I like the idea that he's able to finish fights. I mean, American Top Team's not playing around. He's, 8-0. I just don't see Chris being able to bring something to the table as the level of fighter that he is, that Rodrigo hasn't been able to see even in training camp, let alone in a fight.
Yeah. All right, so let me ask you a question here.
Yep.
Our boy Rodrigo, in his recent fights, have they been, going to decision? Does he have the capability of finishing, whether it's through submission or knockout? How do you kind of see this going technically?
Yeah, so I mean, based on what we can see on Tapology, unfortunately, they don't have the record for all of his wins, but the last 2 were submission wins, Dana White Contender Series, and on UFC Fight Night card. So at the end of the day, he's shown it at a higher level. That's where I think for this fight, as long as he can avoid these nice little combos, let's not put anything, past Chris Daukaus, because what I really liked about what he can do was just the quick little punches. I mean, his combos, he sets it up nicely with a nice little quick jab, and he follows that up. So you can actually see in that Parker fight, he actually throws it a couple times, and in that second time, it just... When you watch it live, it didn't look as good, but when you watch it on the replay, it's like... and he just drops him and follows it up with a knee. So little things like that. We want to watch it for the strikes. So unders, beautiful play.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, and so even in terms of favorites, based on our analysis, this should come as no surprise, but Rodrigo is a pretty huge favorite.
One of the highest, I would say?
He's minus 300, so thus far one of the bigger ones that we've seen. But it does sound like if he is going to win this, it will come in the form of some sort of finish. So that's something that we can also, keep an eye out, as well as the under. And yeah, we'll be finalizing our plays closer to Saturday. So
let's follow that up right now with the preliminary main fight. And the reason why I just wanted to kick this one off for is because I'm really excited to talk to you about this one. So we got Tom Breeze on one end and our boy, KB Bular.
Is he cousins with Simbular?
No. It's just funny because...
No relation?
If you weren't the casual that you are, you might have even made the joke that one of a BC boy is one of Daniel Cormier's training partners and fought in the UFC, and he's a Bular too, which is kind of funny.
No way.
Yeah, so like if you're a Bular, you have the best chance to make brown people athletes. Please understand your genetics and get into some
You're
sports.
Pioneering this for us Canadian brown men.
Like, look at this. Like, I actually, I really thought I had seen an undefeated middleweight Canadian MMA fighter. Like, I've seen this before, and it was in my dreams, and it was me. So for me, I'm really excited to see that there's a real man to represent that.
Spirit animals. That's what we call them. Spirit animal.
But let's get to the real stuff. Unfortunately.
All right, so Easy Breezy versus Bular. What do we got?
Yeah, so unfortunately, Tom Breeze, he had a good stint in the UFC as a young man back in the day at 4-1. He did, go back to the local scene and make a comeback now. And he looks good. And I'm not trying to put our boy down, Bular, but, he fought Brendan Allen his last fight, and that's a tough fight. Brendan Allen's one of the guys on the come-up, and frankly, he lost it. He lost it fair and square. It was a tough fight, but that's where I think this is the fight that he might be able to just smash.
Annihilate, right?
Yeah, Bular's very much a Canadian scene fighter. He actually did corner his boy in the last fight, so he's seen the MMA stage and things like that. So maybe that helps him a little bit, but again, there's nothing like being inside the octagon yourself. He did take on Matt Dwyer in his most recent fight, which is a UFC veteran. He did beat him. So there's little things to take away from that. But I mean, if I'm going based on odds, let's not talk around. Like, let's talk about this.
Yeah, it seems like he's outmatched here. So.
I think Breeze should be, another minus 200 to a minus 300 favorite. I'd be shocked if he wasn't.
Yeah, so he's right in between there, minus 260.
Okay.
And based on your analysis here, there's no need to sprinkle into our spirit animal here,
Yeah, if I'm being honest, the Tom Breeze parlay with looking back at even the Impa or one of these fights, that Tracy fight, I think even the Tracy Cortez is, and I'm going to put you to work on that. Let's take a look at the Tracy Cortez and the Tom Breeze parlay heading into the weekend.
Right.
Okay, let's take a look at that.
Right.
Go from there.
Sounds good. And so moving on is a fight I'm pretty excited about, and just and doing a little research. My boy Youssef here fights out of Denver, Colorado. Lived there for a few years, and he's Moroccan. So tell me a little bit about him. Yeah, him and how do you say this other guy's name?
Llia Topuria.
Oh, very nice. Very
I
nice.
kind of sped it up there. I just sped it up there in case I didn't make any mistakes. But Youssef Zalal. I mean, there's more reasons to like him too. We've actually seen action on him twice. We didn't believe in him the first time. That's okay. We came back as believers, and he did really, really well. He's 3-0 in the UFC. I love his energy. I love what he brings to the table. Good kid. Looks like he wants this for the long term. I think this is a fight where, I've watched a lot of tape on him and I like what I saw, but at the same time, I just don't think he has what it takes to bring it to this level right away. I think he's been thrown to the dogs a little bit. He has the skill, don't get me wrong, but I just don't see him being able to go, the distance with someone like this. So if Zalal doesn't...
And he's been fighting in a bunch of different leagues, right? Like he's relatively fresh to the UFC scene?
Yeah, so he's a Brave FC guy. That's where most of his tape came from. I mean, a lot of earlier round type of action, that kind of thing. I just think, it could be the most exciting first round on the card, but I think Zalal just takes over if this isn't ended, spinning kicks that he was landing in his last fight. I mean, if something like that opens up this time, I know it's just going to be tough. I wouldn't be surprised in this one if Zalal is actually like a minus 400 favorite. It would be tough to see him.
So we're actually going to get great value on this, and it seems like this is a play we can just lock in right now because he's minus 170. You know what I mean? It sounds like in terms of all approach, tactics, that kind of stuff, this is the person who's going to take you the distance, especially in a featherweight fight. So at minus 170, I think we're definitely going to be sprinkling on that one.
Yeah, because it's a tough UFC debut. This guy's never been to a third round. I think there's things that we really need to take away from this and be like, everyone is playing into the videos that are out there. There's no question about it. Nobody really knows who this guy is. They're going off of YouTube. If there's anything else, maybe you got more, but there's a reason for it. He looks like he can be a somebody. And I think that's what we could be playing into too much. And Youssef does have skill. He's got striking skill. He's got the ability to last. We just got to make sure he gets to the first round. So we'll keep looking at that fight as the week progresses.
Awesome. And so coming up now, like you said, we've moved into the main card, and I'm really excited about this one because Aspinall's our boy. Aspinall versus Baudot.
So I love the nickname, but he's French, so we're going to go with Baudot. His name is Baudot. So, let's give a little background for everyone on Tom Aspinall. So when we started taking this very seriously, turned August, things got really good around that time for us, and that was when I'll never forget it. The line was minus 250. I don't think I believed in a fighter on a prelim more over the course of that month, and we hammered it. And it might have been what told us, maybe you should start a show doing this. Like, that's the type of bets where you just, you got a little something. Yeah. And so that was where, that's why he's so excited about it. That's why I'm so excited about it. And for Tom,
nostalgia's kicking in, man.
Yeah, and so everybody knows me for that, the heart bet. And let's analyze this fight, right? Alan Baudot fights out of a Japanese organization from a long period of time. I think he's getting a chance here. We've talked about this. A lot of people are getting chances right now in the UFC because of the circumstance. Pandemic, people want jobs, people also
whoever's willing to take it. Yeah,
exactly. So where I think this is, a good fight and a bad fight for him. Let's break it down. Originally a light heavyweight fighter, so whether he's coming in unhealthy or he's coming in after bulking up, he's coming into a heavyweight fight
out of his comfort zone.
Yeah, and so he's got the height. That's the one thing I'm going to give him. He's got the height, and he's probably got a good speed advantage. But what did we see from Tom in that first fight? He can move for a heavyweight. he's really he can really put himself on you. And I think that's where if I'm Tom, avoiding these quick strikes in the beginning. One thing I didn't like about our boy Baudot was that in his last fight, he actually sensed blood, but actually sensed the mat by the end of that little exchange. You know, I think he got a little too trigger happy, thought he caught a guy, but in reality he didn't. Kept throwing punches, left his chin open, and then boom, literally flatline. Dude just...
Yeah, and we know our boy Tom is... we know our boy Tom is pretty smart in this approach. So, you know, he's heavier. He's going to use that weight to slow him down. Kind of reduce that speed aspect that, you know, Baudot has.
Yeah, so if I'm a Baudot, the only thing I got is, you know, maybe I can just try to stay away from him, avoid the grappling, tire the big guy out by peppering with shots over the course of 2 rounds, and then maybe steal the fight in a third, really get into him, really get into his head by getting those strikes in. You know, that's probably a long shot, which is why we're going to see the odds the way they are, because if Tom Aspinall is not a minus 300 favorite, I'd be a little surprised.
Yeah, he's actually closer to minus 400. So this is probably the biggest favorite of the night we've seen. I mean, it's encouraging because we love the man. So we'll either sprinkle him into some parlays or kind of look at that finish as well.
Yeah, I think groundwork. I mean, if Tom gets this to the ground early, I think it's over. If we can see that he can grapple this guy very quickly, that's a live bet finish. That's a to go the distance no. Like, we can stack that fight for sure.
Yeah, we'll know within the first minute or two right away.
Precisely.
Perfect. So let's move on to that next fight. It is a middleweight bout between Markus, Perez, and I'm not even going to try the last.
So we're going to go with Dricus du Plessis, okay? And I know for a fact that it's du Plessis because for all my South African cricket fans, Faf du Plessis, I don't know if you guys are related. Like, I know, I didn't have to look at anything. I know this boy is South African.
You just knew. You seen the name and you knew.
I knew it. One of my favorite cricketers. I'm a huge, you know, in the closet South African cricket fan. So I knew that I might have some heart for this kid already. And looking at his tape, I like what he brings to the table. Dude can take a beating early on. He learns his fighter. He takes his time. He's fairly methodical but reckless at the same time. And I think you know guys like that.
Okay.
Gaeth G is a very good example of a fighter like that earlier on. He loves to take the punches because he knows he can throw them, but now he's choosing not to take the punches, and now he's fighting for a title. So that's...
Side note, very excited for that fight in a few weeks.
Let's not go there. Oof.
That'll be a nice birthday present for you.
Yes, it will.
Moving on.
Yeah, let's not even go there yet, right? So the thing I liked about him is that he's seen gold in multiple weight classes. Primarily a middleweight fighter. He won the KSW welterweight title, but lost it basically right away. I just don't see the kid being able to stay back. He's in good shape. Like, he looked really good in that fight, and so that's where I think, you know, this is where I'm hoping that the UFC vet, the good camp, all that experience kind of plays to our favor. Because if I can get du Plessis, not from a heart perspective, but if I can get a kid like this, who's not fighting someone who I'm terribly afraid of, I think there's ways to beat this guy. And he's going to be the much smaller fighter. Like, let's not beat around the bush.
Okay.
He's going to be a smaller fighter, but I think he can be fast. So if he can stay out of the way, avoid getting taken down, throw those quick shots, move, I think he has a shot here.
Stay active, yeah.
Yep, and so I'm hoping for a plus 200 underdog on him. I'm hoping if that's the case.
On the South African?
Yes, sir. No
he is actually the slight favorite.
Slight favorite. You know what though?
Yes.
That to me actually is a little discouraging because it just shows me that whatever I saw in Perez is actually very true, and no one sees faith in him whatsoever. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's a terrible matchup from a gambling perspective, from a betting perspective. All the best to him, but clearly, you know, the athleticism factor, the youth factor, what places
it's all going to come into play.
Yeah.
So we only got a few ones left, and this next one I'm super excited about because these are scary, scary looking heavyweights, man. It's Ben Rothwell and Marcin Tybura.
Okay, so let's even just take a quick second to get pumped up for the next 3 fights, okay? This is where we graduate from that concept of, oh, we're just taking in anybody who can fight, right? Like, we got 6 guys right now that are competitive, maybe not title challengers per se, but these are the guys we like to watch fight. And so if we were like the prelim guys and really sniping, like, we're now into the main event, yeah?
Yeah.
So the first one I want to get into right now is my boy Big Ben. love the guy from a personality perspective, long-term fan perspective, all of those things. Like that's what we really
he's been around the block. Right?
And I know you've seen him fight. We've actually bet on him and been successful. It was the Ovince St. Preux fight where we actually took him and he actually won that via split decision. And for me, the thing I like about him is just how long he's been at it and the people he's fought. It's just been such a long and impressive career at heavyweight. And I think he's really believing now that he's at a point where competition might not be so bad. He's learning more. He's taking things more seriously, like his diet and his nutrition and all that fun stuff. And so I think the Big Ben we're seeing right now is the Big Ben that we all want to see. Now, from an odds perspective, I think Tybura, who is, I think he's a little uneventful based on what I thought he was going to do when he first came in. Similar thing, right? Loses to the big names. And that's why I don't want to take anything away from him. Verdum, Lewis, Abdurakhimov, Sakai, like these are all things that, pretty much, these are all top 10, top 15 guys. So he is a top 15 heavyweight in the UFC, but unfortunately, never been able to really get close to that title. So this is a good matchup for both guys who are trying to get into that mix. Right now, it's so wide open, right? Some guys want to retire, some guys are staying. Once this all clears up with the Ngannous and the Joneses and the Miociches, the UFC is going to need guys to start filling in those gaps, right? And so right now, we have a fight that's really going to dictate that. And the only thing I want to say left on this is Tybura is a little irresponsible in there. I think he likes to throw a lot more than he should. He's kind of slow against the more technical fighters, and that's the problem in heavyweight fighting because technical strikers still have power, and so you have to take that into consideration. And Big Ben, this is like the fight you expect him to win. This is a fight where I expect him to be like a plus 150 underdog. It's a fight where he knows that he's going to be that kind of dog, where he has to go in and just withstand that first 3 to 4 minutes of that real pressure, and then just get technical, dance around the octagon a little bit, pepper him a little bit, use that a little bit. And I think he has that grappling and the ground to at least try and avoid any of that type of funny stuff from Marcin Tybura. So I'm really hoping we can catch him at that plus 150 underdog rate. I could be wrong, but I really do see him being the dog.
It seems like Vegas agrees with you in terms of this domination because he's actually a minus 200 favorite.
Oh, wow. That saddens me, man. You know why? Because I just, knowing Big Ben, I'm just hoping that doesn't, not that it's going to play into him, but it's just like those fights where, just looking back on his career,
it's like you said, the fights that you expect him to win, kind of struggles.
Never a bride, right? And so I just hope for his sake, this is one that, he takes seriously. He analyzes the fight tapes well. I really do think he has a chance from a technical striking standpoint, especially if it goes to rounds 2 and 3. Don't get antsy in that first round. Let Tybura get a little tired. He's a bigger boy. Just let that happen, and then find your way to make the W happen.
And do you see a finish happening here?
So here's the thing with that, right? I do believe that both men have that opportunity, but it's one of those things where if both guys get knocked out once and recover, I just think they're both going to be too tired from anything.
To throw another, for sure.
Because they both have, they're going to have chins, that's the whole thing about these guys. Because of how tired they'll be. They'll be so used to taking each other's punches by that second, third round that it's just so rare to just see that land unless it's ground and pound or a really good shot when the guy's hands are too low or he's just filthy exhausted. And that's another point to make, right? I don't see these two guys being the types of heavyweights that get embarrassingly exhausted. You're not going to see a Data 5000 and a Kimbo Slice fight here, that's a little past tense. But now I think you're going to see a bit more athleticism there, but let's see how that plays out.
Awesome. And so now leading up into our co-main event, the first one we got is Barboza versus our boy Amirkhani.
Yeah, so again, right, we have such good potential in these fights. And the thing I like about this fight the most is that Edson Barboza, God to many fans. I got a highlight for you right now that I need you to look up, so I'll give you a quick second for that. But
what am I looking up here?
So you're going to be looking up the Edson Barboza knockout of Terry Edelman.
Okay, perfect.
So as you look that up, just give me a quick shout before you watch it there. I really like what he brings to the table just in terms of the striking, right? He's only been knocked out twice. And let me tell you, he got knocked out by Jamie Varner in 2012, which is, I was a kid back then. Oh, how good that
the good old days.
Yeah, and he also got knocked out by Gaethje. So those are the two knockouts for Gaethje when it comes to Barboza. I do not believe Amirkhani can strike with this man. It would take a lot in terms of skill, speed, versatility in terms of his striking overall. I just don't see him with it. So let me know.
Right.
You gonna play that right now?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's
do
fire
it up.
it up.
Yeah, do it up. Let me just get you this. Watch that. Ooh. I'm just like visualizing your reaction.
Oh, it's coming. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's a top Yeah.
That's not like that fall.
Yeah.
That's not real.
Yeah, that's a top 5 highlight in the entire UFC. Everyone's favorite. Like Nate Cory, an old school fighter, Ultimate Fighter alumni that you might know by face just from back in the day watching fights with me and stuff like that. But yeah, it was one of the fight highlights that just made it, almost a household sport. Like I think those are the knockouts that gave them good highlight tape to be able to sell.
Oh yeah, that'll sell anyone on the sport.
Yeah, and just to go back to the fight itself, like it's things like that with Amirkhani. I think if he's smart, you're gonna try and tire him out a little bit, pepper the body, get him moving a little slower, take this to the ground.
Leg kicks, yeah.
Yeah, like you want this on the ground. Like let's not make this anything more than it needs to be. Don't get overconfident in a fight like this. This is the biggest fight of your life. It's Edson Barboza. This gets you into potential title contention at least.
Yes.
Your next fight's going to dictate a lot. And so you got to be smart. And if there's only one area that we can see, Khabib did it. I mean, you just got to ride this guy. You can't let those legs fly and you can't let those punches hit you because they hurt and they keep coming and he doesn't stop. And if you want to keep feeling that, that's up to you. But you have a very good potential game plan there. And I think it's to at least try to get to the body. And if you can't, just try to get that takedown. I mean, push him into the fence, cut that distance. Don't be a distance fighter against Edson Barboza because you will be hurt.
Yeah. And so, the odds kind of reflect exactly what you're saying. He's going to have to really play into tactics to have a chance at this one. Barboza is a minus 250 favorite. And honestly, like, given everything that you said here, that still seems like decent value. You know what I mean?
It's incredible value because I think it would make me believe that if they believed a little bit in Amirkhani's grappling and ability to kind of just dictate that part of the fight, he would be a much, much, much closer underdog, if anything. Yeah. But I do believe that they think Barboza has what it takes to avoid anything that he brings to the table. And frankly, he has beautiful submission wins, but they're just not against the Edson Barbozas of the world. And so going back to what we were saying, that's a perfect parlay minus 250. I mean, if there was a little parlay that we laid almost immediately, a couple of these minus 250s are looking really good right now. And trust me when I tell you, if people start getting a whiff of that minus 250, I'd be shocked if by Friday that's not a minus 300.
It's not 300, yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm going to let you take it into this last fight. I know you're super pumped about this one. It's Marlon Moraes versus Cory Sandhagen.
Shout out Bob Menery, our boy. All right. So, the things I love about this fight, let's just be quick about it. The striking. They both bring a very interesting style of striking here. Marlon's that feisty, that hard-hitting, fast striker, The thing I love about Sandhagen is just it looks like this gas tank can last forever. So,
really?
I would have loved to see him in a 5-round fight already, but unfortunately, he got stuck fighting the Terminator that Ray Longo and Matt Serra are building in Aljamain Sterling. I don't know who that guy is, but that's definitely some like symbiote that they've put together in their camp, and it just absolutely schooled the guy. And we bet on Sandhagen in that fight. We thought that was a good bet, but if you look at the way that fight played out, that was anything from close. Sandhagen tried to keep his distance, and honestly, just the overall sheer confidence of Aljamain to really push forward and know that he was the faster fighter and know that he could land and get the bat and do the Ray Longo, Matt Serra thing and get that submission win and call it a day very quickly. So, unfortunately, we didn't get to see Sandhagen fight 5 rounds, which means this could be the first time he does it. Another problem, he's fighting a very fast, quick, heavy-handed Marlon Moraes, who beat Aldo by a very close split decision in December, and then was basically...
Oh, I remember that fight, yeah.
Yeah, and was basically injured for most of of 2020 heading into this. He would have been fighting for the title had it not been for those injuries, and he was passed up. And so now we're looking at the best, probably the best division in the UFC right now. And there's just a lot of beasts, Volkanovski locking down that title. And so, I think we've got some, Moraes only recently lost to Henry Cejudo. That's a GOAT. Wow. Henry Cejudo's a double champ. Like, you can't beat the GOATs like that. And so, I have a lot of respect for him. I'm hoping he's not too much of a favorite because I'll be honest with you, if you give me Marlon Moraes at anything under minus 200, I'm taking him. And I think because of injuries and layoff and the hype behind Sandhagen, even though he lost, Sandhagen could be the favorite.
You're right. Sandhagen actually is the favorite. So it looks like we know where we're leading here. The Magic Man himself.
The cute little, adorable little, just straight murderer. I mean, he is a beast. The first few rounds will be tough, and that's what scares me, right? At the end of the day, the rounds 3, 4, and 5 are going to dictate how well Marlon can do. Because if Sandhagen can have his way in those rounds, it's going to be hard. I don't even need to see Sandhagen fight 5 rounds, but looking at him fight that 3rd round,
the endurance is there.
Yeah, it's really and it's very impressive too. Like, he barely looks like he's breathing heavy at the end of these rounds, and that's what we all like about, championship level fighters. And so if that part's easy, the rest will come. And so maybe now this is not his time. I think Marlon could even have that chance to just maybe go for that one title shot. And let's see. I think there's some good juice for us there.
Yeah, I was going to say there's definitely some good value there. So, Siraj, always a pleasure to, get your UFC knowledge. Look out for our picks on Instagram. Siraj will likely be putting out a video on Friday, kind of rounding out the picks and stuff like that. But subscribe to us. Keep following. We love putting out this content for you. And as always, Siraj, it's a pleasure, man.
You as well, my boy. Take care. See you for this football talk. Peace.
Sounds good, brother. Later.
Take care.